Hey everybody, I've got a 2007 M6 convertible here, and had a issue with it the other day. Heard the power steering pump whining pretty loud in it. Car's got about 60,000 miles on it, so apparently that's a pretty common problem. And in addition to that, I took the bottom cover off of it to look at the power steering pump, and it had an awful lot of oil in the bottom cover. Apparently I've got a leak in the oil cooler on it, and got checking into it, found the brackets broken on both sides of the oil cooler and had a vibration in it, and that cracked the inlet line for the oil cooler. Had a couple of options. I took it apart. I read a lot on the M5 M6 forum, and they said that you pretty well got to take the front end of the car off of it. I did it a little differently. I went down through the top plate right here. I've got it all put back together, but I'm going to take it apart for you, and I was in and out of that in about 20 minutes, so it doesn't really take that long to get it out that way. On mine, I'm going to go ahead and replace it. I found one on Amazon. I can't remember, 260, 280, somewhere around in there. It would have cost probably between $120, $150 to have it welded up. The bracket on it has to come off of it, and you'll find some things on the forum about having it welded. It's going to be a little bit cheaper to do it that way, but in the long run, I just thought just go ahead and put a new one on there. They've got them made by Behr, which is the same people that make the part for BMW. BMW will tell you that it's a subgrade version of the part and that kind of thing, and that your engine is in jeopardy if you put it on there. I'm not so sure about all that, but I'm going to go ahead and put the Behr on there that I found on Amazon. There's really not that much to it about getting it off and on, and this is one of those things that I really can't blame BMW for this failure. Looks like I did a Dukes of Hazzard or something and broke the bottom plate, and did it in a parking lot one night that had just been re-asphalted, and some guy had painted his concrete parking barriers black, and I didn't see it, and I hit one of them. I remember a pretty hard bump up under the front end, but I didn't know that I had done this damage. That cover will hold a lot of oil, and I never saw a drip anywhere underneath it, but I knew the car was using a lot of oil, and I thought, well, wasn't real sure why. I figured it was a real high compression engine and that was causing a problem, but it's something you might want to look at every now and then on yours. So I'll go through this, and I'll show you how I took it apart and got it out. I'll show you where the brackets are broken on the sides of it and why the vibration was going on. So we'll take a look at all that. All right, on the top section of the car, all of these bolts right here across the front, down here on the front part of the bumper, they've all got to come out of it. You've got to take these two bolts out of the radiator top core support here. This plate will come off. This rubber piece right here in the center comes out, and then underneath this there's another bracket that will come out of there. To do all of this, you need a 25 Torx, you need a 30 Torx, you need a 13 millimeter socket, which I'm going to do this with a I'll do the 30 millimeter here with all of these here with a butterfly. It goes pretty fast that way. You need a small screwdriver here with a sort of a small blade. You've got to reach down in here and remove get these clips going to get this piece out right here. On the bottom side of it, you need a 25 Torx, and just use a small 1/4 inch ratchet, and they come out of there pretty quickly. There's not a whole lot to that, and I can show you where those are. Right up here you've got 4 screws that are Torx, and these all come out pretty easily. Not a whole lot to them. There's two over here on the side also, and that's where mine is broken. And what it's done is just allowed the whole thing to be able to move and have a vibration in it. So I'm going to go ahead and take those out. There's just 4 small screws there, and they're right in here. You'll see them real easily. Of course, I've already got the bottom cover plate off of the motor from up underneath there anyway. That was pretty easy to do also. Alright, you can start with your 30 Torx right up here on the top. Those are longer screws there, and there's 4 of them. 2 of mine are missing right there. You got to have those in there before you start put that top cowl support or radiator support in there. Otherwise you can't get them in from the bumper right there. Got 1 left, 2 left. Got to take this center section out here. And it just pops right out. Alright, now the top radiator core support just comes right off the top, not a problem, real easy. And then this plate here slides right out from under the bumper. Your bumper is real flexible at this point. You can go ahead and just walk it out real easily. It'll just come right out. Now, from there you've got a rubber piece here, and you've got clips in the side of it here. You're going to have to use a screwdriver again and go after that. You'll see them. There's 4. There's 2 of them on each side. Okay, and then this whole piece will come right out here. Clip on each here, clip there, both sides. Alright, and then this rubber piece here will just walk right off of it, nothing to it, just put that one down. Now, you're going to need to go back with your 30 Torx, and you've got a bolt here and a bolt here, and then this top plate will come right out. Okay. At that point, you're looking right at the top of the oil cooler here, and you can go ahead and take all those screws that I said out of the bottom of it, and then I'll show you a little bit more about it, and we'll go ahead and walk it on out. Okay, from here you're looking at the top of the oil cooler. It's right here, and you're going to have one 13mm nut that is right there that's holding it. There's a couple of O-rings down there where the pipes are going into it, and that's where the leak is on mine. The bottom portion of it right up underneath in here is cracked, and that's where I decided I didn't want to weld mine. So anyway, you're looking right at the top of it. You take your 13mm, you take that nut off of it. As soon as you've had the screws come out of the bottom of it, which is, they're just real self-explanatory, you won't have any trouble getting those out of there. And then it will just walk right on out. I'll get this one out here, and we'll go from there. Okay, you can take the hoses, just put them up here on your crossbar right there. And those are up out of your way. And then as soon as the screws are out from the bottom, I'll walk it right out. Okay, I got all the screws out of the bottom of this one, and I've got the lines detached, and I should be able to just reach down in there. Maybe I can do this and hold the camera and pull it straight out here through the top. Let's see. Well, that was a little clumsy, but it's out. So I got it here laying on the floor. Sorry about that, a little difficult to hold the camera and do all that and get all coordinated on it. The plastic piece that attaches to it has still got a screw on it here and a screw on it here. And both of those will have to come off. And then you're looking completely at the cover. I'm going to go ahead and do that and then show you where the crack is on mine. Oh, okay, I got the screws out of it now. They're right there. Another one right over here, right there. And this will just come right off. It's kind of held together with a couple of the clips on the side also. A little hard to do with one hand. There you go, and the camera, but it should come right off. All right, now this cover is off, and you want to inspect it for any damage on yours. Mine's okay there. Where I've got a problem is right here on the sides. There's a bracket on both sides. Now down here on the bottom, both of these are broken off, and that allowed the vibration to happen. Apparently it took a pretty good lick in the bottom of it, which didn't damage the oil cooler itself until the vibrations occurred. I'll go ahead. These just pull straight up and off. Nothing much to them. There's a rubber grommet. Hold on just a minute. Alright, these brackets on the side here, they just pull straight off. There's a rubber grommet that holds them, but you can just work those right out and there's not a problem there. They come right off and you're looking at them. These are where mine are broken. If you'll look at this right here, it's missing part of it. You can see that there's an ear broken off right there. That's what allowed the vibration on mine. These two screws that were in that are just kind of floating. You can order those from BMW. They've got them, and there's no problem there. You don't need to order the rubber grommets, or I wouldn't think so. I can't imagine you wearing those out. So that's pretty much the reason why mine failed, and I'll show you where the crack is in it. Okay, I got it sitting up here in the vise now, and this will all be painted black when you get it out of the car. I've been working on this one now, and I've got a new part ordered, but I thought I'd just go ahead and put this all on the forum for you guys that are going to try this repair. You can see here that my crack is right around here. You can see it pretty much wraps all the way around this side right over here. Okay. It'd take a really good experienced welder to do that, and if you do it, this entire bracket here has to come off of it. They can't get in there to get that. The tips are too big, and you better have a really good aluminum welder guy if you want to try to do it that way. In my world, I just went ahead and I'm going to replace this thing and get rid of it. It's got a bare part number on it, on the bottom of it. You won't find that pop up too quickly, but you can find this replacement part. Like I said, I found mine on Amazon, and it's going to be in Monday. And I'll go over it with you about how to put it back together and a couple of tips on that. It's really just pretty easy. The only thing that you want to do different when you put it back together, oh, also one other thing too, if you order these brackets, make sure you order a left and a right. There are two sides to that, so check yours carefully, make sure that they're not damaged. And when you put this thing back in, you'll have to go ahead and put the plastic shroud over it. Put the screws in right here, and then it'll hold real well and you can get it all in. Put it in from the bottom. Don't try to put it back in from the top. It's really clumsy to try to do that, and it will go in much easier from the bottom. Might even come out easier from the bottom, I really don't know. But anyway, make sure that you do that, okay? And one other thing, when you put this radiator support back in on the top here, when you put that in, make sure that you've got these long screws here already back in. That'll take you that'll save you taking it back apart again. This outside one here won't clear the bumper right here to get into this thing, so it has to be already laying in place when you put it back in. Make sure you can probably just go ahead and put all four of them back in, just have them laying in there. They go back in these four holes right here, and you can't get them in there without really bending hard on your bumper to try to do it any other way. So that's just one other tip there that you might want to do. Also, while you're in there, if you've had an oil leak on this thing, your radiator is going to look like mine. I haven't cleaned it yet. I kind of noticed that the temperatures were running a little high if I was getting on the car, and I didn't realize it, but the bottom of my radiator is really packed in oil, and I've cleaned a lot of it out, just the surface part of it, but I haven't gone after it yet with a lot of brake clean or whatever I need to do to get all that oil goop out of the bottom of it. But you can see that all this down in here is really heavily oil soaked and got a lot of debris in it. I took that much debris out of the bottom of the radiator on it, and I noticed it was running about 10 degrees too high. Also, this is my bottom plate here. You can see where Dukes of Hazzard or whatever got into it, and it's cracked pretty bad all the way down through here. Never really had any oil leaking out of it. I've got some leaking out of the thing the way it's sitting right now, but actually that's just running down from this crack right up here. That's just an oil trail right there. That's not actually cracked. And so you determine whether or not you got a good one or not. This one is fine. It won't give any problems. Okay, that's pretty much how you take this thing apart and get it out. There's really not that much to it. It's a pretty easy, straightforward job. When you put it back together like I'm doing on mine, I got the new brackets coming. If yours are okay, you're in better shape than I was. Also, there's two O-rings that are on your inlet and outlet hose. Make sure you replace those. Don't just put your old ones back in there. Not a good idea. And my part will be in a couple of days, and I'll get it put back together. And if I run into anything putting it back together that I'm not thinking about now, well, I'll just make sure and record any kind of problems that I might have putting it back together. I think it's just pretty much the reverse process of getting it out. And I think it'll run a little cooler, my radiator will be cooler, and then I'll be on to my power steering problem, whatever goes next on this darn thing. I don't know about you guys, but I got a love-hate relationship with this car. If it can go wrong, it's gone wrong. It's been the most expensive car to maintain that I've ever had. Just one thing right after the other. And besides for my little Dukes of Hazzard incident, I have babied this car and treated it right. Never had it in any kind of a mode, you know, the starting mode or whatever, where you do the jump starts with it. Everything has been pretty much straightforward. I get on it every now and then. I don't race it on a track. I'll play with it a little bit, but I don't think I've ever done anything that would really damage this car. And yet it continues to have one problem right after the other. Not really down in BMW. I understand it is a race car. Don't know why, but maybe this one's just a lemon, but it's been one expensive repair after the other. I know I read sometimes on the forum where guys that sound pretty young or whatever say, well, gee, can I afford to get into this car or whatever? And all I can tell you is this: it's an expensive car to buy to start with. I think this one was $113,000. I did not take the extended warranty in it, which they wanted some astronomical, ridiculous price for it. I think when I bought the car, they quoted me $25,000 for an extended warranty to 100,000 miles. Of course, obviously, I opted not to do that. I think the cheapest I ever heard was like $7,000 with another dealership. But I did not take that, and this car has really plagued me with some seriously expensive repairs for things that I wasn't really capable of doing the repair on, that really BMW had to do some programming and that kind of thing. ABS failures, the transmission, the electronic module on the transmission has failed, alternator has failed, battery is very expensive. Top will never, I don't think I'll ever get the top right. I've read everything on the forum and I've made the adjustments on it like everybody says to do. Right now it seems to be doing okay, but I don't trust it for long. It has really plagued me on the top on it. I think all the 6 Series tops are a real problem. And so car has been one problem after the other. You get a very, pretty loud clunking in the rear end. Some people say, well, it's supposed to do that. Well, I don't know. I've had positive traction rear ends before, but they don't shudder and shake and that kind of thing the way that this one seems to do. So who knows, that may go next. That is a $35,000 engine. Sometimes I sympathize with the guy that took the hammer on YouTube and just beat the crap out of his car out there for everybody to see because of all the things that it cost him. So it's a love-hate relationship. It's a beautiful car, I'll give it that. And it's quick. It's not the fastest thing on the planet out there. There's plenty of things that'll get out there and beat it up, especially with a 500-pound heavier convertible model. That's like having a real fat boy sitting in the back seat in a drag race. Not a good idea. But anyway, it's quick, but not that fast. So anyway, good car, bad car. You see these guys say, well, can I afford it? You better have a pocket full of change. That's all I can tell you, because this is an expensive car to maintain. Enough said about my BMW. Thanks a lot.